The vast emptiness of space stretched before Yunji's scout vessel, a sleek metallic arrow cutting through the dark. Her hands moved swiftly across complex control panels, monitoring systems that were rapidly failing. Outside the reinforced windows, distant stars flickered like cold, indifferent witnesses to her mounting predicament. Her mission had been straightforward: gather intelligence about the human-controlled sector of space. The High Council of her homeworld had been clear: understand the potential threat, map their technological capabilities, and return with precise data. But nothing had prepared her for the unexpected asteroid field that now surrounded her damaged ship. A sharp alarm pierced the quiet of the cockpit. Red warning lights danced across multiple screens, casting an ominous glow on her pale blue skin. Hydraulic systems were collapsing, navigation was compromised, and the ship's energy reserves were dropping rapidly. She had trained for scenarios like this, but training and actual survival were two very different realities. Her species had extensive records about humans, reports filled with warnings about their unpredictable nature, their capacity for both extreme violence and unexpected compassion. Those historical archives painted humans as complex, dangerous creatures, capable of remarkable destruction and equally remarkable kindness. Now she would potentially become another data point in those endless reports. The ship shuddered. External sensors revealed multiple microfractures spreading across the hull like intricate spiderwebs. Each tremor brought her closer to complete system failure. Yunji's breath remained controlled, a testament to her rigorous training. Panic would not help her now. Her communication systems crackled with static. Attempts to send a distress signal to her home world were met with silence. The vast communication network that usually connected her civilization seemed suddenly fragile and distant. She was alone, thousands of light years from everything familiar. Navigation computers calculated her trajectory. The nearest planetary body was a research outpost, likely human-controlled. The irony was not lost on her. She might survive only to be captured or eliminated by the very species she had been sent to study. Her mission's primary directive echoed in her mind: observe, but do not engage. The ship's artificial gravity began to fluctuate. Small objects in the cockpit started floating, dancing a chaotic ballet of impending destruction. Yunji secured critical data modules, ensuring that even if she did not survive, her collected information might. Her people would want to know everything, right up to the moment of potential extinction. External temperature readings showed increasing friction. The ship was entering an atmosphere, and not smoothly. Automated systems were desperately trying to stabilize the descent, but their efforts seemed futile. She could feel the intense heat building outside, transforming the ship's exterior into a burning meteor. In these final moments, Yunji's thoughts were not of fear, but of clinical observation. Her training had prepared her to be a recorder of events, even if those events involved her own potential demise. The ship would be her final report, her last communication with her civilization. Proximity alarms screamed. The ground was approaching fast, a landscape of rocky terrain, sparse vegetation, and what looked like abandoned research structures. Whatever happened next would be decisive. Survival was not guaranteed, but surrender was never an option. With practiced movements, she activated the emergency containment protocols. Critical data would be protected, encrypted systems would self-preserve. If she died, her mission would not be in vain. The last thing she did before bracing for impact was to lock her safety harness and close her eyes. The crash was violent, thunderous. Metal screamed as the ship tore through rocky ground, sending debris flying in all directions. Dust clouds erupted, obscuring everything in a thick, choking veil. For several long moments, absolute silence followed the tremendous noise. Then, a subtle movement. A hand emerged from the wreckage, pushing against twisted metal. Yunji was alive, injured but conscious. Her first breath was ragged, filled with dust and the acrid smell of burning electronics. She had survived the impossible. Little did she know, her real journey was just beginning. The research station stood quiet, a collection of metallic structures, against the harsh planetary landscape. Jae-hwan had been monitoring geological readings when an unusual energy signature caught his attention. Something had crashed nearby, something that didn't match any standard meteorological pattern. He was not a military personnel, but a scientist. His days were typically filled with rock samples, atmospheric readings, and long hours of careful observation. Today felt different. The strange readings pulled at his curiosity like an invisible thread, urging him to investigate. His rover moved carefully across the rocky terrain. Dust clouds still lingered in the distance, a clear indication of recent impact. Advanced sensors on the vehicle scanned the surrounding area, providing real-time data about temperature, radiation levels, and structural disruptions. When he first saw the ship, it didn't look like anything from human technology. Its design was alien, smooth, curves, metallic surfaces that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Something about its construction suggested advanced engineering beyond current human capabilities. Approaching the crashed vessel, Jae-hwan moved cautiously. Years of scientific training had taught him to observe before taking action. The ship looked badly damaged with multiple external breaches and twisted metal panels. Any normal pilot would not have survived such a crash. But something moved inside. A hand pushed against a damaged panel, then another movement. Jae-hwan's heart raced. This was no ordinary discovery. His medical training kicked in automatically. Whatever was inside might need immediate assistance regardless of its origin. He activated his protective suit's communication system, keeping a direct line open to the research station. Standard protocol demanded reporting any unusual findings immediately, but something made him hesitate. The movement inside seemed deliberate, controlled. The alien pilot emerged slowly. Blue-tinted skin, large eyes that seemed to absorb light. Differently, a body structure slightly different from human anatomy. She was injured but conscious. Her movements suggested military training. Controlled, precise, even in potential moments of vulnerability. Jae-hwan's first instinct was not fear, but pure scientific curiosity. Here was a living being from another world, crashed on a remote, planetary outpost. The potential for understanding was enormous. He moved closer, making slow, non-threatening movements. The alien's eyes locked onto him. He could see intelligence there, calculation. She was assessing him just as carefully as he was observing her. No sudden movements, no aggressive postures, just two intelligent beings trying to understand each other. His medical kit was already open. Universal first aid protocols worked across most biological systems. Oxygen, stabilization, basic wound management. These were universal concepts. He pulled out standard medical supplies, showing them clearly, to demonstrate peaceful intentions. The alien watched his every move. Her breathing was controlled, her posture suggesting she was ready to defend herself if necessary. But she did not attack. Something in Jae-hwan's demeanor communicated safety, potential help rather than threat. "I'm not going to harm you," he said softly, knowing she likely couldn't understand his language. But communication was more than words. His hands moved slowly, showing medical supplies indicating help. Surprisingly, she did not retreat. Instead, she allowed him to approach. Her injuries were significant, multiple structural damages that would have killed a human. But her body seemed to have different survival mechanisms, different healing capabilities. As Jae-hwan began treating her wounds, he realized this moment was bigger than a simple rescue. This was first contact. Not through military channels, not through diplomatic negotiations, but through a simple act of medical assistance. The research station would soon know. Protocols would be activated. Military and scientific teams would arrive. But for now, in this moment, it was just two beings from different worlds, connected by the most fundamental of human traits: compassion. Jae-hwan's hands continued their careful work. The alien watched him, her breathing slowly becoming more regular. Something had changed in that moment of unexpected encounter. A bridge had been built between two completely different civilizations, and neither of them knew exactly what would happen next. The research station's medical bay was unlike anything Yoonji had ever experienced, clean, sterile, but somehow warm. Jae-hwan moved carefully around her, his movements precise yet gentle. Her body was healing faster than human medical technology should allow, a fact that seemed to fascinate the scientist. Communication was their first real challenge. Yunji's translation device had been damaged in the crash, leaving them to communicate. Through a complex dance of gestures, drawings, and careful observations, Jaehwan used a digital tablet, drawing simple diagrams and pointing to objects while she responded with careful hand movements and occasional sketches of her own. Her species had extensive data about human language, but theoretical knowledge was different from actual interaction. Humans were unpredictable, their communication filled with nuance and emotion that went beyond simple information exchange. Each gesture from Jaehwan seemed to tell a story beyond mere words. Days passed. The research station was isolated, which worked to their advantage. Limited personnel meant limited exposure. Jaehwan managed to create a makeshift translation interface, combining his understanding of linguistic patterns with the fragments of her damaged communication technology. Yunji learned that he was not a military scientist, but a geological researcher. His work involved studying planetary systems, understanding environmental changes, mapping terrain. It was not the aggressive, conquest-driven approach her people had believed characterized human exploration. Her own mission became a point of careful negotiation. She could not fully reveal her original purpose, to assess human military capabilities. Instead, she shared carefully selected information about her civilization's scientific achievements. Jaehwan listened with genuine curiosity, asking questions that revealed more about his own nature than any formal intelligence report could. The station's communication systems remained a potential threat. One wrong transmission could bring military investigators turning their delicate understanding into a potential conflict. They both knew this, creating an unspoken agreement of careful communication. Strange weather patterns began developing outside. Electromagnetic storms threatened to disrupt their already fragile communication systems. Jaehwan's scientific equipment showed unusual readings. Something was changing in the planetary environment that went beyond normal meteorological expectations. Yunji's biological knowledge proved crucial. Her understanding of planetary systems was more advanced than human science. Together, they began mapping the incoming electromagnetic disruptions, combining her alien technology with his human research equipment. Their collaboration was unexpected. Two beings from completely different worlds, working together not as enemies but as scientific partners. Each discovered something about the other that contradicted their preconceived notions. Humans were not simply aggressive conquerors. Her civilization was not merely a technologically superior threat. As days turned into weeks, their communication became more fluid. Simple words emerged, basic terms that bridged their two languages. Help, danger, research, friend. Each word carefully negotiated, each meaning explored from multiple perspectives. The research station felt like a small bubble of understanding. Outside, the planetary environment grew more complex. Electromagnetic, storms increased. Something was changing, and both of them knew it was more than just normal planetary activity. Jaehwan's scientific curiosity and Yunji's survival training created an unexpected partnership. They worked together, mapping, analyzing, understanding. Each discovered that survival was not about individual triumph, but collective adaptation. Their biggest challenge was not communication or survival, but the potential consequences of their encounter. One wrong move could trigger a response from either her civilization or human military structures. They were walking a delicate line between scientific discovery and potential interstellar conflict. As the electromagnetic storms intensified, they realized their partnership might be about more than just personal survival. Something larger was happening, a potential shift in understanding between two completely different civilizations. The research station hummed with equipment, with unspoken tension, with the potential of something extraordinary. Two beings from different worlds, finding common ground in the most unexpected of circumstances. The electromagnetic storm hit without warning. Massive energy waves crashed against the research station's protective systems, creating a symphony of technological chaos. Jae-Hwan's monitors began flickering, critical systems threatening complete shutdown. Yoonji's alien physiology allowed her to sense the energy fluctuations before human technology could register them. Her biological sensors picked up complex radiation patterns that suggested something far more dangerous than a simple planetary storm. This was not a natural occurrence. "We're not safe," she communicated through their makeshift translation system, her fingers tracing complex diagrams on Jae-Hwan's tablet. Her drawings revealed intricate energy wave patterns that suggested an imminent technological collapse. Jae-Hwan understood immediately. The research station's survival systems were vulnerable. Conventional human technology would not withstand the incoming energy surge. They needed a solution that combined both human engineering and alien technological understanding. Their workspace transformed into a collaborative survival center. Fragments of her damaged ship lay scattered around. The room, mixed with advanced human research equipment, each piece became a potential solution, a potential lifeline against the approaching technological disaster. Yoonji's hands moved quickly, recalibrating human communication arrays using components from her alien technology. Jae-Hwan worked alongside her, his engineering skills complementing her advanced scientific knowledge. They were no longer just different species, they were survival partners. The storm intensified. Outside, the planetary landscape began to change. Rock formations shifted, electromagnetic waves creating visual distortions that looked almost like living landscapes. Something fundamental was happening to the environment around them. Communication with the outside world became impossible. Their research station was now an isolated bubble, cut off from any potential rescue or support. Survival depended entirely on their combined skills and quick thinking. Jae-Hwan discovered that components from Yoonji's ship could reinforce the station's energy shields. Her technology was decades, perhaps centuries, ahead of human engineering. Each modification increased their chances of surviving the incoming energy surge. Yoonji realized that human adaptability was their greatest strength. Where her civilization might have followed strict protocols, Jae-Hwan thought creatively, finding solutions that went beyond traditional technological approaches. They were creating something entirely new. Their communication had evolved beyond words. A look, a hand movement, a quick sketch. They understood each other with increasing complexity. The language barrier disappeared, replaced by a deeper, more intuitive form of communication. Critical systems began failing. The research station's main power grid showed increasing instability. Conventional backup systems would not be enough. They needed something extraordinary, something that combined their different technological understandings. Jae-Hwan pulled out emergency power modules. Yoonji recognized their potential, showing him how to reconfigure their internal structures using principles from her alien engineering. Together, they created a hybrid power system that defied current human technological understanding. The storm reached its peak. Energy waves crashed against their modified shields, creating spectacular light displays that danced across the research station's windows. It was beautiful and terrifying, a demonstration of planetary forces beyond human comprehension. Their survival was not just about protecting the research station. They both understood that their collaborative efforts represented something larger, a potential bridge between two different civilizations. A demonstration that cooperation could overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Hours passed. The storm continued, but their modified systems held. Jae-Hwan looked at Yoonji, seeing not an alien but a partner. She returned his look with a similar understanding. They had become something more than their original missions had intended. As the electromagnetic waves began to subside, they realized they had done more than survive. They had created a new understanding, a new possibility of cooperation between their two worlds. The research station remained intact, and outside the planetary landscape had changed, marked by the intense energy surge. But inside, something even more significant had transformed, the beginning of a connection that could change everything. The aftermath of the storm revealed a transformed landscape. Rocks glimmered with strange energy. The ground seemed to pulse with unexpected life. Jae-hwan and Eun-ji stood together, watching the changed world around them, knowing their survival was more than just a personal victory. Eun-ji's communication systems slowly restored themselves. She knew her report back to her homeworld would be unlike any previous mission documentation. The data she had collected was not about human military capabilities, but something far more complex: human potential for understanding and cooperation. Jae-hwan worked carefully, helping her repair the communication modules. Each movement was deliberate, a dance of trust between two beings from different worlds. They had become more than just rescuer and rescued. They were partners, survivors, something entirely new. The research station's computers began processing the massive amount of data collected during the storm. Scientific readings showed unprecedented energy patterns, molecular transformations that defied current human understanding. What had happened was more than a simple electromagnetic event. Eun-ji's biological sensors detected changes in her own physical structure. The intense energy had somehow altered her at a cellular level. She was becoming something different. Not fully her original species, not entirely adaptable to human biology, but a unique hybrid of potential. Jae-hwan noticed the changes. His scientific mind raced with questions, with possibilities. This was more than a research opportunity. This was a fundamental shift in understanding biological adaptation, in comprehending how different species might interact and transform. Their communication had become almost telepathic. A look, a slight movement, and they understood each other completely. The language barriers that had existed at the beginning of their encounter had dissolved into something more profound. The first transmission back to her homeworld was carefully constructed. Eun-ji knew the High Council would expect a standard, military report. Instead, she created a document that challenged everything her civilization believed about humans. She described compassion, adaptability, the potential for understanding that went beyond technological superiority. Jae-hwan helped her encode the message, ensuring it would pass through multiple security filters. Each word was a carefully placed piece of a larger puzzle, a puzzle that could potentially prevent future conflicts, create new understanding between their civilizations. Outside, the planetary landscape continued to change. Rocks absorbed strange energies, plants began showing mutations that suggested remarkable adaptation. The storm had been more than a natural event. It was a transformative moment for the entire ecosystem. Their survival became a metaphor for something larger. Two beings from different worlds, finding common ground in the most unexpected circumstances. Their collaboration suggested that conflict was not inevitable, that understanding could emerge from the most challenging situations. The research station's computers began receiving strange signals, quantum entanglement patterns that suggested communication possibilities beyond current technological understanding. Something had changed during the storm, something fundamental about how information could be transmitted. Eun-ji's physiological changes continued. Her body absorbed and transformed energy in ways that fascinated Jae-hwan. Each medical scan revealed new possibilities, new understanding of biological adaptation. She was becoming a living demonstration of interspecies potential. Their story would likely remain classified. Government and military structures on both sides would want to control, to understand, to potentially weaponize their discoveries. But here, in this moment, they had created something pure, a genuine connection that transcended species boundaries. As days passed, they continued their research. The research station became a unique laboratory of possibility. Each discovery challenged existing scientific understanding. Each moment suggested that the universe was far more complex than anyone had previously imagined. Jae-hwan looked at Eun-ji, seeing not an alien, but a partner. She looked back, understanding that their encounter was more than a chance meeting. They had become something new, something that represented a potential future of understanding. The communication to her homeworld would be their first message, not a report of conquest or threat, but a demonstration of potential. Humans were not simply aggressive explorers. Her civilization was not merely a technological threat. They were something more. As the sun set on the transformed planetary landscape, they stood together. Two beings who had found something extraordinary in the most unexpected of circumstances. A transformation that went beyond biology, beyond technology, beyond the boundaries of their original understanding.